Hi everyone, today we are looking at the second session of Module 3, Chapter 14, The Earth, a Living Planet. This session we start the opening by recalling what happened in the previous session and collecting back the at-home activity. Once you finish that, we start a game of speedometer. This game is to recall what they learned in the previous session. As you know, in the speedometer activity, the children need to stand in a circle, and every time you say a correct statement or the statement that adds value to what you had learned in the previous session, they need to walk really fast. But the time you say a wrong statement, they need to walk very slow. So one of the topics that we learned in the previous session was, for the survival of life on Earth, we need air. Since that answer is true, the children need to walk really fast when you say that. An example for something which will not be correct will be, for the survival of life on Earth, we need mountains. That is not exactly correct because it's not an essential thing for survival of life on Earth, and therefore the children can walk slowly. The correct answers for this statement is air, water, food and shelter, and the wrong answers for this context could be electricity, mobile phones, etc. You've given more examples in the manual for you to look at it. After that, we go into the main creation. Start the main creation by giving the children the necessary materials to do the life lab activity. The manual is given here. You do only the part where they make the two models. Don't do the observation and the activities following assessment yet. After you do the activity, the children will end up with one square earth and a spherical earth. This is not an exact sphere, but we use this as a sphere. This, holding two ends of the limb, show the children how the earth rotates on its own axis, like this in an angle. After you explain this to them, show them, take a torch and shine on it. Tell them that when the light is shining, only one part of the earth, one side of the earth is getting light, and on the other side there is darkness. As it keeps rotating, there is light in all this side, and the opposite side of behind, on the other side there is no light. This is to show how when the sun is shining and the earth's rotation is the reason there is day which has light and night which is no light. After you explain to them, show them what happens in a square earth. Earth's shape cannot be square because if you show light, only the light is hitting on only one plane. For example, when I was showing light, the light was hitting only here, which meant that this part and this part will never get light. Even if you move it like this, there are two parts, the top and the bottom will never get light, and that's why we know that Earth is in a spherical shape, because we know that there is day and night in every part of the world, however little or long the time of the day or night is. Once you finish that, you go into the part of a role play. Keep a table or a box in the middle of the class to represent the sun. After that, all the children will make a circle around the sun. Each of them are going to act like Earth. Tell them that each of the students will be acting like Earth. For them to explain how Earth rotates, they need to stand in their place and rotate. They do it like this. Okay? And they need to do it very slowly because you need to capture that the day takes some time. So you can ask them to go turn, 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 turn. So depending on the speed you want to do it in, you can ask them to do that. Revolving is when the children move around the sun. The earth moves around the sun. So if the child was here standing and rotating, he needs to revolve too. So he just doesn't stand in the same place. If the sun is there and I am a student who's acting like Earth, I'll be rotating like this and revolving around the sun and therefore gaining some space. Like that, the children need to move around and complete one circle. Okay? Once the child you finished one full circle, you can mark it by saying if one student A is standing here, go around until student A comes back to this point, you'll tell them that this whole revolution, that the time that they took in Earth standards would have been 365 days, which is a year. While on the other hand, one rotation of Earth on its own axis, one complete rotation, so from this point going around and coming back to this point, will cause day and night. Once they're done with the role play of understanding revolution and rotation, you go into the next activity. The next activity, you'll get a worksheet which will have display sheet, which will have components for them to cut and make it into this model. Basically, this model will show you how much time the Earth takes to rotate, and it's also showing the revolution, and it's showing the moon rotating, revolving around the Earth. So this will be a good example for them to see how the Earth and the Sun and the Moon are related, and what is their relationship and the movement between them. First, tell the children about how the Earth revolves around the Sun. For example, now the Earth is in the month of March, and it revolves like this and goes around the Sun for 365 years and comes back here to make it 1 year. The Earth also has another movement, which is rotation. The Earth rotates on its axis in this direction, and which is what causes day when it faces the Sun and night when it is not facing the Sun. The Earth has a moon which rotates around it too. The moon goes around the Earth, and that's how we can see the moon at night, and because of the Sun we cannot see the moon in the morning. Once this is done, we go into the closure. For the closure, what the children need to do is finish the Life Lab activity. Once they're done with the activity, it has an observation and an assessment area. The children can go through the assessment and observations later once they're home. But before you go into that, you can explain the part of the scientific principles of Earth. So the things that we have so far learned, which is formation of day and night, which is because of the Earth being Earth rotating, which happens in a spherical Earth but not in a cuboid Earth. Seasons. Earth revolves around the Sun in about 365 days. The axis of Earth's rotation is slightly tilted. Slightly tilted would mean like this. Earth doesn't sit like this, Earth sits like this. That's a slight tilt in the line of rotation, etc. So you can continue with all the other scientific principles, explain to them, and then tell them that they need to bring this back filled in the next session. With this, our session is done. See you in the next session.